All right, joining us, former Secretary of Homeland Security Jeh Johnson and former political director of the California Republican Party and co-founder of the Lincoln Project, Mike Madrid. Gentlemen, those are two very different ends of the spectrum on immigration. And it's interesting today because, we've been planning on doing this topic and talk about where Democrats need to be using that Obama clip and some others. And there was a Republican congressman in this hearing today who brought that sentiment from Obama and a few others out today to point out where Democrats used to be. So we've gone in a much different direction over the last 10 years.
Yes.
Where do you see public opinion aligning with the Democratic Party?
So it won't surprise you to hear from me that I agree with my former boss, what he said. It's a nuanced approach. There's no one silver bullet to immigration policy in the United States. I've decided that the best immigration policy is one you don't hear much about, or you have both sides screaming at you at the same time. Securing our border is a legitimate government objective. I mean, strip away all the racist crap we hear about great replacement and so forth. It's a legitimate government objective. And there are large segments of border communities, think Laredo, Texas, for example, which is like 80% Mexican, that want a secure border. On the other hand, we have to be fair and humane to the people who are here, as President Obama alluded to, give people an opportunity to get on the books, pay taxes, people who've been here for years, who become de facto Americans, committed no crimes, who want to be on the books, who have U.S. citizen children. There are millions of people living in this country in that category. And then, there are all the things in between, legal immigration, visas for high tech, for higher ed. Along the lines of the comprehensive immigration bill that passed the Senate in 2013 and failed in the House in 2014. So it's twin objectives. To a lot of people, it would seem in conflict, but it's really not.
I wonder if you're hearing anything from Democrats, Mike, that you think is a winning message on immigration. I ask you because the Republican Party has been pretty dominant on it for some time now. But again, it's an inflection point. The Republicans are losing control of the issue, and they're losing public support.
Yeah, look, the Republicans have dramatically overreached. They've overplayed their hand, as they are wont to do. I mean, that was as predictable as, anything you could expect from the Republicans. The winning message is what we just heard from the secretary. He's exactly right. What Barack Obama was saying is that actually always been the solution to this. And it's as the secretary pointed out, it's not new. We know what the policy solutions are to fixing immigration reform. The problem is it has served both parties' interests to have the extremes on both sides start playing political volleyball with this. And the Republicans, of course, have taken it way too far. But what you heard from the Congresswoman earlier is the response to that. The next question you have to ask her is, well, okay, you get rid of these agencies. What do you fill it with? And what the secretary just, I think, articulated is a responsible, reasonable plan that President Obama articulated. The challenge is that plan needs to be put on paper and moved forward. Now, that's not going to happen until the Democrats retake Congress, which I expect they will in November. But that's how the Democrats seize the high ground on this. The Republican overreach has created a second chance, a massive window to get not just the public back on their side on this issue, but Latino voters back on this issue. And their policy is reasonable, it's responsible. They've just got to be a little bit more bolder in saying this is where we stand and move it forward and have Latinos support them, the general public support them, and I think they'll see the successes of that.
So I learned this new word last year. It's called schismogenesis. And the definition of schismogenesis...
I just learned it myself now.
...is defining yourself against an opposite, or defining something against its opposite.
Correct.
So Donald Trump comes in and he does immigration policy in an extreme way, and he violates laws and he violates civil rights, and he is abusive internally, and 2 Americans are dead, and detainees are experiencing horrible things in detainment. That's true. Democrats have found themselves, or I found Democrats have defined their immigration policy as its opposite, which can be something a little bit more on the open borders, not all the time.
Abolish
but some,
DHS.
abolish DHS,
Right, yeah.
abolish
Right.
ICE, et cetera. Or that's at least what they get defined as, or what it's some people online are loudest about.
Right.
So how does the Democratic Party deal with the desire of so many people in the party to do the opposite of Donald Trump, to lead with compassion and humanity?
Yeah, the problem with this issue is the loudest voices get the most attention.
Yeah.
The voices on the extreme, right and left, get the most attention, but it's not where the American people are. The American people are in the middle someplace. And I'm convinced that most Americans, if they could sketch out their own immigration policy, would be along the lines of something like I said. And if you have a politician, Democrat or Republican, who is willing to articulate that kind of centrist vision without trying to placate one extreme or the other, I think that most Americans would respond favorably to that. As somebody who's willing to tell the truth about this very difficult issue.
Mike, what you just said, I think, resonates too, which is that this is such a good political campaign issue. Is there actually a desire to get something done?
Yeah, overwhelmingly there is. And again, what the secretary is saying, I think the Democratic Party really needs to take to heart here. And I'm not even sure if it's centrist. It's just so reasonable. This is not unlike what Marco Rubio put forward with the Gang of Eight proposal. This has been very clear for 40 years on where the American public is at. The irony is this is also where Latino voters are at, is they want a reasonable solution. It's not contradictory to want responsible border security and to have a clear, clean, reasonable pathway to citizenship. In fact, they work together. That's where the overwhelming majority of the public is. That's where Latino voters are. The Democrats have to. The only way they're going to get back into the game on this is by articulating that plan and putting it on paper and driving the agenda forward and not being afraid of the left flank. This whole idea of open borders only works because there are no specifics on the table. It becomes like a defund the police argument. The next question is, well, what is your solution? If you don't have a solution, you'll always be open to those attacks. You'll always be susceptible. And that's what's got to change if the Democrats are going to win this issue.
All right, Mike Madrid, Jay Johnson, fresh out of time. Could go a lot longer.